Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the EmpowerMAN podcast. It's your boy, Mikey G, coming to you from the free state of Florida. And I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the man who likes black and white cookies with his sausage, egg, and cheeses. The man who once passed out on my couch eating a bag of double stuffed Oreos. My boy and yours. Give up for the guy who puts the 2 in the Second Amendment, the Stanford shooter, big sexy, Mr. Greg A. Todora the first. Sir, how are we doing tonight?
Great, man. Episode's over. Thank you. That was an awesome intro. I'm done. I'm done. I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Every day is a blessing. I just want to give a shout out. Yup. Go ahead, Greg. I know those are your boys.
Gunfighter Trading Company. Gotta love it. Go pick up some merch.
And we got a shop here.
I love your shirt. I love your shirt.
Shout out to my boys at Nine Line. They are killing it. They are Freedom Apparel, great company. Everything's made in the USA. Go support them. Nineline.com. Want to give a shout out to all our friends, our first responders, EMTs, everybody, our cops, our firemen. God bless you all, and thank you all for what you do.
Absolutely. And God bless our troops and our military personnel all across the globe. Keep your shit up, guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And tonight we want to talk about something that is a very interesting topic. It's something that we've talked about in the past on certain podcasts, and we use it a lot in our everyday nomenclature. It's about being a victim. Right? We often talk about being the victim in certain situations, especially with what's going on in the world right now, being a victim of inflation, being a victim of the political strife that's going on, and everything that's being espoused to us from leadership in this country to divide us. We can stay in our situation or we can do something about it. And it's easier said than done. Some people have a hard time getting out of their own way. And the crazy thing is, a lot of people don't even know that they're in their own way in the first place. But let's break this down, Greggy T. In your mind, what does being a victim mean to you? Paint us a picture of what a victim is.
In my mind, we all of us, everybody, age, background, whatever, we all can fall into this trap every day at some point if we're not careful. Being a victim, to me, is a negative mindset that can dictate your next move from in a day-to-day operation. You know, I said it could be as simple as I'll never be good enough to play on this team as a kid, or I'm not going to be picked first for kickball or dodgeball or whatever. And just that negative mentality of victim, because that's truly just being a victim you have no reason to think that way. And then it can just trickle on to every other aspect of your life, which we'll talk about. It's just, I think it's people tend to, like you nailed it on the head. Some people just can't get out of their own way and they just stay in that, and it touches every area of their life.
I agree. And to me, and to expound upon that, we talked about this in a prior episode about personal prisons. Being a victim is something that's self-imposed. Things don't go our way, so we punish ourselves. Like you said, I'm not good enough. I didn't get the job I wanted. I need to punish myself by beating myself up that I'm not good enough for this job. Or I'm trying to buy a home and I beat myself up saying, gee, I wish I didn't make the mistakes I made for 20 years financially. That put me in this position. So it's kind of like we put ourselves in these prisons or these confined cells where we are almost like it's like we believe that it's innate, that we're predisposed to be a certain way. Oh, I'm never going to meet somebody. I'm never going to find the girl I want. I'm never going to buy a house because, I never had someone to show me how to do that. And therein comes the line of being a victim about, like, I call it passing the buck of blame. When I say passing the buck of blame, it's, Greg is just, he's taller than me. That's why I got the job. Or, they like me more than Greg. How does that mindset affect your growth when all you're doing is blaming others um, for your failures and your inadequacies?
It completely stuns your growth. I don't think there'll be true growth at all if you stay in that mentality. I mean, you everything you just said was so right, and I agree with it 1,000%. It's complete prisons that we put ourselves in, and only we can get ourselves out of it. No one else can. Other people can give you tools, give you advice, give you some great things to think about, motivation, all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, only you can get yourself out of that prison. And I think that it's completely stuns your growth, and you'll never reach the levels ever that you can if you don't step out of that way of thinking.
Can you ever reference a time in your life where you were in a victim mindset?
Sure. Let's see. Um, so starting a rum brand with a friend of mine down in Florida, actually. Now, this was, I don't want to get into the whole long story, but this was probably a year and a half in the making. I don't have extra money to put into the business, neither does my partner. But we had a vision. We're dreamers. We liked, we're already ahead with what we want it to look like. We have the formula, we have everything. But not having the funds to immediately go, because we spoke about this in the last episode. You and I are very, okay, give me the ball, run, let's go. All right, I want to start a company, let's go. Sometimes you can't do that because you don't have the access or the finances to do it, which is fine. But I remember there was a small part of me where, oh, boo-hoo, I don't have the money, this is never going to work, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, you start layering the excuses on top of excuses. Meanwhile, aggressive patience, we stayed on each other, held each other accountable, and we did our best. And we actually went in front of an investor, got our asses handed to us. However, it was a great learning experience, eye opener, and we're both pretty smart guys, and we just got leveled. But got the investment that we needed off and running. But, and I'll shorten this up. So that's a win, right? Everyone's like, okay, we're good. We got it. Let's move forward. Well, now that victim mentality of what happens if it doesn't work? What happens if nobody likes it? What happens if nobody buys it? What do we do now? And then you have to, that's going to stun your growth because we waited a year and a half to get this off the ground and launch. We finally have it now where we're ready to go. And that little voice inside is like, oh, it might not work. You got to put a lid on that shit and keep focusing on what you've been focused. Nothing else mattered the past year and a half. So just keep that in check and keep going. Don't let those little voices make you the victim of yourself. You'll never grow.
Yeah, and let's add upon that, Greg. That kind of lets us into the fixed versus the growth mindset. We talk about a fixed mindset, Greg. What does a fixed mindset mean in your eyes?
I'll take this approach to it. So a fixed mindset is okay, A to B, straight line. It's not always like that. Sometimes there's a curve. You got to go around it. You got to find a different way. There's a door that's locked. Most people, we spoke about this, they'll try the door and they'll just turn around and walk away and they won't go forward. And they're like, oh, I give up. It wasn't meant to be, or it's not going to work. That's that fixed mindset. A growth mindset, in my opinion, is people like us, a lot of people that we know. Okay, we try the door and it's locked. Well, what do we do? Okay, I can kick it in. I can have a friend help me, you know, blow it down, or we'll find a way to breach the door, or we'll just go around it and build our own door and try a different path. We just won't stop. We'll be relentless with it. I know you like that word, so do I. It's just relentless. Like a locked door is not going to stop us. So we don't have that fixed mentality. If you find yourself in a situation where you have a fixed mentality, try to recognize it for what it is. And if it's truly something you're passionate about or you really want to do, you will find a way to keep going forward. And that's where you start to grow as a person into the other, away from that fixed mentality, straight line. Not every life's not like that. There's gray areas, there's paths we have to forge ourselves.
I agree. And sometimes that fixed mindset can be passed down through the generations in families.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm the first to break that chain in my family.
Yeah.
My cousin probably broke it as well, but
Yep.
that fixed mindset can really start in an early age, not intentionally,
Yep.
but so our relatives, our parents, they don't know any better because that's all they know. They never really stepped out of their comfort zone to experience different things. So
So right. You're so right on that.
they're afraid of change because
Yeah.
it's new. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I don't have to live like this.
The
But that,
risk, they're
yeah,
they're not as big of a risk takers as we are.
right.
And that's not a bad thing.
No,
They weren't conditioned that way. Slow and steady wins the race. I always got that growing up. Slow and steady. You should be just get a job where you get a pension and you're done and you retire. I just wasn't like that.
yeah. And I think what connects the two of us is that we're both dreamers. We both have
Yeah.
ambitions. We've always had ambitions ever since at a young age.
Hmm.
I've had dreams and visions, and I've been able, this whole time, not even knowing it through the grace of God, I've been able to achieve a lot of cool things in my life that are unorthodox to our families because they didn't
Hmm.
know that there's life outside of the fixed mindset. Being outside of the fixed mindset was, oh my God, you're crazy. See, you're never going to do this. It's never going to
Hmm.
work out for you. You should go get a
Yes.
job. So you
Yes.
have those negative external forces. And, to reference the Bible again, and I've said this before in previous podcasts, we never know when our days are up. We never know when our number is going to get called. Every day should be a reminder to us, men and women that are listening, that we need to live life every day to its fullest. We got to take life by the throat and we got to choke the crap out of it. We got to take it and it's like taking a sponge and wringing it out till that last drop of water's out. And we got to attack life like that. Not every day is going to be perfect. Not every day is going to be a win, but the win starts when your feet hit the ground. You get out of bed, your feet hit the ground. I hear my coffee pot go off. I kiss my cat. I've already won. And we need to be cognizant of that. If you wake up in the morning, people always ask me how I'm doing. I said, I'm here. I have oxygen. I can breathe. Man, life is good. Wouldn't you say, Greg?
I would. You said it right, and we're gonna have him on in a few weeks. The Panda Man. I was watching one of his videos the other day, and it freaked me out. I'll be honest, but freaked me out both in a good way and in an oh shit way. So he was getting ready, I think he was gonna like go to work or something in his home office, and under his desk he has like two bins and like a red bin and a blue bin, and there's marbles in it, and one of them has a shit ton of marbles, and the others have a little bit. And he was videoing himself, getting ready to sit down to work with his clients, and he takes a marble and he puts it in from one into the other. I was like, what is he doing? And he's like, I don't know who taught him this, or maybe he just did it himself. I'm not sure. But he calculated how many days until he's 85. And he filled that jar with marbles. And
Wow.
it's like a self reminder every day. He takes one marble and puts it in the other one. So he goes, if I make it to 85, I know, where I'm at. If I make it past 85, I'm good. But it's a self-awareness of just what you just said. We never know when our time is up, and we should value it and make every day fun and awesome as best we can. It was a real like oh shit moment for me when I watched him do that, and he was like, this bin used to not have a lot of marbles in it, and now this one does, and it's kind of trippy because I know once this one has less and this one has more, I'm going to be close to 85. It was real eye opener for me.
Yeah. I mean, look at us right now. Like we're in our mid 40s right now. And look how time, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I said it earlier in introduction, but 20 years ago, we came back to my apartment after work and we were just hanging out watching TV and we got some food and you ate a bag of double stuffed Oreos and passed out on my couch. And here we are 20 years later, you've got a family, here we are doing our podcast. We're
Yeah.
becoming an international like brand. I mean, we've got shout out to our boys in Germany, India, our boys in Belgium, like
What's up, Belgium?
it's awesome. And
Yeah.
Great Britain, India. I mean, it's tremendous when we get the reports about how many men and women that are listening as well that we can reach, and it's truly a blessing. And never in our wildest dreams did we think we'd be having this platform to empower others,
Yeah.
but we realized that. And again, I say this all the time: you never know if you can hit a fastball unless you get in the batter's box. And we got in the batter's box, and we got a few base hits. And base hits win the ball game. You don't need a home run every time, guys. But if you're a dreamer and if you got goals, remember, like Greg made a beautiful illustration about time. Time can be your best friend, but it can also be your biggest liability.
You got to
And we're not
control it.
saying take uncalculated risks or take risks that are
Of
going to
course.
be, irresponsible.
Yeah.
But Greg has a family. And Greg, give us some insight on your endeavors being an entrepreneur and overcoming that fixed mindset of getting the door slammed in your face and saying no, 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 and how you've been able to overcome managing your family responsibilities with your professional responsibilities, making sure you have enough to cover you financially. Like, get, paint a picture of the risks that you're taking and how that's working out for you right now.
So you said the right thing, calculated risk. I'm not saying go blow your rent money or your mortgage money or your family's food money on some pipe dream. That's not what I'm saying. But if you truly have a vision or a dream, like Mike said, or a business idea or something, I don't, whatever it is, do as much research as you can. We are in the world of abundance when it comes to information. If you want to know about something, you can find everything out about it. You can read about it. You can go online about it. You can find the numbers on it, how much things cost. We never had this when we were younger. You can literally find anything. So do your homework and your research on things. Work backwards from the problem. Oh, I want to have a t-shirt company. Okay. What tools do I need for that? Okay, I need a screen press machine. Okay, what type of screen press machine? I need ink. I need this. I need a dryer. If you can't afford a dryer, what I used to do, you put them in the oven and I would bake one at a time the shirts. It took fucking forever. But I couldn't afford the heat machine, whatever. And I did them in my apartment. But get your research, do it, and then do the legal stuff. What all right, I have to incorporate. What does that look like? Okay, you can get an attorney. You can do Mike Love's Legal Zoom. You know,
Shout out to LegalZoom.
there's so many there are so many tools at your disposal to get the answers you need. Now, you might not have the money for all of it. Okay, that's fine. Find out the money that you have for what you need. Okay, I need a screen press machine and ink. Okay, and I need t-shirts. I'm just using a t-shirt business for example. And okay, now what? Okay. So you have all that. How are you going to sell them? So you have to break the problem down. You can do them online. Okay, you need a website. Do you know how to do a website? No, you need a website developer. You have to shop around, find a good one that is a good price for what you could do. If you're going to end up doing the back end yourself, you see how it just snowballs, but all the answers are there. Take it a step further. If you don't have money, like my example for the rum company, we don't have the money. It's a tremendous amount of money to get that company off the ground and running. Just the formula alone at the distillery, it's super expensive. Okay, step into now you need an investor. No problem. I thought I wrote a dope business plan and all this stuff, and it was pretty good, whatever. And I thought I knew about how to go. Like we all watch Shark Tank, or at least we've seen it, and we've seen some people really like mess up in front of the people, and you're like, oh, how could they do or say that? Like I would never do that. Okay, I'm a pretty smart guy, and I got my shit handed to me in about 3 minutes. I was sweating or whatever. I mean, it was a real business crash course in investment, and I'm glad it happened because I learned a ton. So don't be afraid to go down and research avenues on how to get money if you need it. That's super long, but I'm trying to make sense of it.
No, and I use the Small Business Administration. It's free,
Yep.
guys. You can
That's a
actually get a
great
free
resource.
mentor. It's
That's
a
a great
great
resource.
resource. I had used a mentor from there to help me when I was inquisitive about starting my own business and branching out on my own. So there are a lot of free resources that you guys can use and girls that can use.
And you'll
Um,
make mistakes along the way. It's fine. That's all. I think that's a good thing. It's just as good as making mistakes is just as good as not making mistakes, because the mistakes is where you grow and you learn from, and you'll never do that again. Yeah, it might cost you a little bit of money or time. You'll make it back because you'll never do that again.
yeah, and I've said it before, failing forward.
Yep.
And I think your illustration was a great example of a growth mindset because you you took it on the chin.
Yeah.
You were, it's kind of like, playing in a real life, real game situation. It's like getting
Yeah.
out of practice and playing the real game. And that's the only way you're gonna grow is by getting your reps in. I mean, how many times have you
Exactly.
been in front of an investor before?
I've never have, but now I know definitely what not to do when I need to go in front of one again for something else. I know what to do. I know what not to do. I know what to ask. I know what not to ask. And it'll be even better next time.
Yeah, and I'm going to pull out something here. This is a new copy. My other copy is very highlighted. If y'all want to get a great book, Dr. Carol Dweck wrote a book on mindset, and it talks about parenting, business, schools, and relationships, and it's just overcoming the fixed mindset, kind of like we're talking about, being that victim, like always looking for a way how. Kind of like when a professional wrestler cuts a promo, they want to hit a few bullet points, right? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. So if you can apply that to the growth mindset, who, what, when, where, why, and how, it's the how is the most important part of it, because it's going to kind of get the wheels turning to overcome that hurdle. Right? The who, the what, the when, the where, and why you're doing it. But that all builds up to the how. That's why we save the how for last, right?
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily work that way in the sports entertainment world, but you can take those principles and apply them to really beating the victim mindset. Greg, being a victim in business, for example, um, what are ways that people can overcome being a victim in a business mindset? To give you an example, right? Let's just say, your job, right? I'm sure a lot of agents are they're self-imposed victims.
Every
They
day.
feel that it's not fair that someone's getting leads.
Yeah.
What advice would you give someone, whether it's in your field or in another field right now? Because there's guys of all trades and some women that are watching. What advice would you give someone that's stuck at their job, that's passing the buck of blame, whether it's the manager, whether it's politics, whether it's experience?
Yeah.
How does someone break the victim mindset when it comes to their job?
So I like to confront them in a professional way. And let's use this as an example. And real estate agents bashing the company that they're with.
Right.
At the end of the day, a company's a company. They're mostly all the same. They have their different tools that they might offer, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're an independent contractor and it's your own business. A successful real estate agent, you can put them in this company, you can pick them up and go put them in that company. They're going to be successful because that's how they are. I don't care about the company. So when I get somebody that's complaining, oh, the company this, the company that, I said, okay, I'll have a debate about that. What about all the top producers? What's the difference? They're at the company that you're bashing right now. Now, I don't like to have people compare themselves to people, but I always say if there's somebody that you admire in the business, whether they do volume or deals or they're top producer, whatever, why don't you talk to them and ask them questions? Not every company's perfect. We know that. But if you can mirror their successes and then put your own spin on it, why can't you be successful? because you can bash the company all you want. Then go to another company, and guess what? You're going to do the same thing there, because I see it now on the managerial side of things. The same agents that complain when they move companies, they complain about that company. They just complain, complain, complain. And there's your victim mentality right in your face. There it is. They can't get out of their own way to, that's that fixed mentality, like, oh, the company, or, oh, the tools aren't good, or, oh, that person, they've been doing it forever. Oh, their mom is popular. They got the listing. Like, it's just excuses that are just trapped in your brain, because it goes back to what we talked about accountability. You're not holding yourself accountable to get to their level. The funny thing I always say is we all have the same license. All of us. My license isn't any different than any of the agents in my office. An agent that does 1 deal a year has the same license as an agent that does 100 deals a year. They have the same MLS as the agent that does 100 deals a year. So tell me, how do you bridge that gap? It's the person, and it's their victim mentality that just keeps them in the mud. They can't put it in gear. They just can't. And it's frustrating to see, because it's a very simple thing, but they can't get out of their own way. And you try to talk to them, you give them examples. It's almost like I'm a psychologist at some point, and I'll find out what the source is, but they still just don't want to. And you know what? Then find another job. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I kind of feel
If you
like
don't want
people
to be
bring.
helped, they're not going to be accepting.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point about that. You got to want to change. You got to want to be
Yeah.
helped. And a
Yeah.
lot of people, either they're too proud to accept help, or they feel like they can do it all by themselves. And I
Yeah.
kind of feel that people bring their baggage to work, and that can affect. You
Absolutely.
talked about team chemistry, so I think
Yep.
we need to be aware. It's having the self awareness. It's being able to recognize.
Baggage is a
Um,
victim mentality.
Huge. Especially the next thing we'll talk about is relationships.
Yeah.
Being a victim in a relationship. Now, obviously, let's really make this clear. It's not a victim when it comes to abuse, whether it's
Correct.
physical, emotional, and all the other
Yeah.
forms. But it's being a victim of not finding the right person, or always picking like the ones that are less desirable.
Hmm.
If there's a guy out there that as experienced as I'm sure there are several out there. What advice would you give someone that has that mindset of, oh, I'm never going to find anyone, or, oh, well, she'll do because, we're kind of close in age. We kind of want the same things. You said that before, like knowing your worth.
Yeah.
We had talked about that in previous episodes, and like not settling. And some people just settle because they're at a certain point in their life
Yeah.
where they'll just accept this. It's an
Yeah. I got
acceptance
to
that's
check that
bad,
box. I'm 40. I got to check that box.
right? So
Yeah.
it's you're accepting the fixed mindset. You're accepting that this is the way it is, and I'll never
Hmm.
truly be happy. And then
Yeah.
I feel what happens is 10 years down the road, you grow apart from that person, and you have this epiphany that you were never really happy in the first place. And you stayed because all your friends are married and all your
Yep.
friends have kids, and
Hmm.
you're comparing yourself to others, which we talked about. So, Greg, how does one, if you were to give advice to a guy right now, what advice would you give them on breaking that victim cycle when it comes to finding the ideal partner?
I would start off by saying, don't settle, no matter what. Go back to your core values, go back to your non negotiables. Work on your confidence, which will beef up your self worth. All of those things will destroy the victim mentality. And Mike always says these are active reps you have to do every day. Everyone has to do them every day. The people don't just wake up like 100% confident, rock and roll 365 days a year. It's not real. So, but if you get more reps in of the self-worth, the confidence, that victim you can keep it at bay and keep it, in the basement. And I think you should work on yourself. And whether that be, dive into work or dive into your career, or, you know, pick up a sport or a hobby or the gym or something, a community of people. We always talk about this. I just think that'll help with with finding a person with equal value that will, you know, bring equality to your table, which we spoke about before, and stop putting all that negative shit in the universe. I'm a true believer of this. Don't put negative things out there. You're literally putting that in the universe. So, real quick, one of my friends, I helped them with their resume and a job application. And this is they want the job bad. It's huge. Helped them with it. They knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. They had like 3 interviews. Everything's been going great. The recruiter's like, you're on point. Hang in there. It's all good. As soon as I looked over the homework assignment that they had to do for the job. I thought they killed it. She hit send. Within less than a minute, I'm not going to get this job. I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? You've been riding cloud 9 for a week. You just knocked this project out of the park. You had 3 hugely successful interviews. Where did that come from? And oh, you're right. They're trained in the reps of being a victim. So I'm like, all right, stop. Don't put that out there. I'm not going to get it. I didn't hear. You're not going to hear the next day. Relax. You did the best you could, right? Are you proud of the work you did? Yes. Could you have done any better? No. Then let it be and put positive vibes out there. And if you don't get it, okay, don't sulk. It wasn't meant to be then, which I truly believe in that too. But don't immediately be like, I'm not going to get this job. That was really like a snap. There it is. They're trained in the opposite of what we're talking about. The reps of the self-worth and confidence, they're trained in the reps of being a victim. And then everyone starts looking at you a certain way, and it compounds the victimhood or the victimness. I don't even know if it's a word. And now you're labeled a victim. It snowballs in the completely wrong direction.
Well, we have a really good friend that we've known for half our lives, who we were able to catch up with when I was at the Tedora compound. And when just talking about this, that her image came to mind, because I feel that she's in that victim mindset where, waiting for something to happen, waiting to take that next step in life.
Yeah.
And you're waiting and waiting, and you're making excuses as to why it's not getting done. Next thing I mean, I couldn't believe it's been so long since I've seen her. So it was so
Yeah.
great to catch up with her. But, in after our conversation with her, and if she's listening, and, maybe listen to this and take it to heart.
It's all love.
In 1 year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, my fears are that she's still going to be waiting. And,
Yeah.
then you're going to have, time can go by where there's someone out there that would love to treat her right. And I think, when it comes to that stuff, you need to identify when you're the victim. You got to have self-awareness. A lot of people don't have it because they don't know how
Yeah.
to identify self-awareness. And that's why mindset practices like meditating, journaling, gratitude,
Vision board.
is huge. And I talk about 3 A's in a prior episode, but I'm going to use 3 different A's for today. You need to absorb the environment around you. You got to recognize when you're being a victim. I'm in it all the time. I was in it earlier when I got rejected again for another house, and I was mad, and I got it. I was in it for a second, but then I took a step back, because in my mindset practices, I read scripture. And Joshua 1:9 talks about being bold and courageous. Don't be discouraged. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. And I felt okay. So it's like, that works for me. Now, people can maybe work on diaphragmatic breathing. Maybe they have different mindset practices, but you got to absorb the environment around you. You can't just react and be like, God, I'll never get that listing. No, it's like, let's look at the listings. Let's look at this. Let me collaborate with my manager who wants to help me grow so that I can get what I'm looking for. And that comes into the application, absorbing and applying the systems that we've talked about, applying certain practice that you do, getting those reps in every day. It's like doing a bench press, right? You want to bench 225. Well, I got to do 135, 145, and so on to get to that 225 mark.
Yep.
And when I hit that 225, I achieve. So if you absorb the environment, apply systems that work best for you, you'll achieve the result and the outcome you're looking for. And you've mentioned a lot about this, having systems.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel it's no different. Greg, you were a competitive swimmer. Um, y- we got athletes that are listening. When it came to sports, how did you overcome the victim mentality, or give us a situation that you were in that victim mindset and that you were able to push through it?
Well, you want a swimming example?
Sure.
Okay. When I spoke about this on a previous episode, when I took a brief, you know, I stepped away from swimming when I was at the top of the game to play other sports. When I came back, everyone around me was doing great. So that was a quick eye opener, and the victim mentality crept in. I think naturally, because when you're at the top of the game and then all of a sudden you you're basically like a nobody again working up, that could really fuck with your head,
Mm.
and it did. But I had a great coach and I had good friends, and my coach was a very mental focused coach, which I I didn't know it at the time what he was doing, but obviously later on, hindsight, I knew what he was getting at, and he really taught me the power of the mind and overcoming physical attributes or the victim mentality or all the negative, and to focus on certain things, and it slowly came back and I achieved what I needed to, and got my scholarship and swam Division 1. So it was it wasn't without help from the right people.
Community, right?
100%.
And we
Yep.
talk about that, how important it is. Like, you and I hold each other accountable. We support each other. When one's down, we pick the other up, and that's what makes us a great team. You guys, I'm sure you have, Greg likes this term, ecosystems. You've got your
Yeah.
community, you've got an environment that is supportive. That's going to be a huge help. And I think, being able to, and I like to say this a lot, you got to earn your stuff. I mean, there's other adjectives that you can use that begin with the word S, but I refrain from using that. But your you got to earn your stuff. You got to earn the
You're so polite,
opportunity.
Mike.
I'm trying,
So
at my
polite.
age, I have to, I got to let the words out of my mouth be good and wholesome, so I have the right
Just
response
like
for
me,
everyone.
apparently. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
well, that's why we feed so well off each other.
Yeah.
But we need to earn, we gotta earn our stuff, guys.
Yeah.
You gotta earn the opportunity. And when the opportunity is given to you, you gotta kick the door down. You gotta
Yeah.
blow it off the hinges.
Yeah.
You can't just go into the opportunity being trepidatious. You gotta take it. You gotta take that ball and you gotta run.
But I
And like
also
Forrest Gump.
but I
Run.
also think nowadays what you just said is hard for people, because earning it isn't the same as earning it when we were younger. People, the younger generation, they have this I deserve it, or you know what I'm saying? You don't deserve anything. You have to go and get it. And Mike says earn it. This whole generation of they just expect things for no reason, or expect results, or I went to college so I'm going to make 200,000, or I should make 200,000 my first job. No, no. You gotta, all the successful guys that I listen to and follow, they earned it. They earned it. And I every email that I send to my office, the ending of it is attitude makes the difference. Earn it. If you want to walk around like a hot shot, earn it. But you can't walk around like a big shot if you haven't done anything. So I agree with that.
Yeah, and you just brought to mind a great quote from one of our great presidents, Teddy Roosevelt. Walk softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
Being humble, is a good thing, and that goes back to biblical times about those that humble themselves will be exalted, and those that exalt themselves will be humbled. So
Mm-hmm.
being humble and having humility is extremely important when you're looking for opportunities and knocking that door down. any opportunity that I've ever gotten, I try to hit a home run every time. Now, does it work? But I make the most of that opportunity.
Yep.
Whether it's, I have an opportunity to do something at CrossFit, or being, 44, having the opportunity to get back into professional wrestling, like, which I love. And I've been able to do some stuff down here. If I have an opportunity to wrestle somebody, my mindset is I want to have the best match of the night. I want to make my opponent look as good as possible. And I want to, steal the show. And you got to want to do that. And I often wrestling because that's my true passion. I love it so much. Um, whether you're going for a job interview, you want to steal the show.
Yeah.
You want be impressionable. Like, if I were interviewing for a job, I wouldn't leave till I got the job. I'm
Hmm.
gonna make you hire me
Yeah.
because I'm going to have that drive and that desire and that want to take the opportunity given to me and earn my position, whether it's, as an agent to get to a manager, or whatever scenario you want to put it towards. Guys, you got to earn your position in life. There's no other way around it.
And I think people have a real disconnect with investing in themselves financially, whether it be I want to go back to school, or I need to take this course, or I should take this coaching group. Everyone, oh, it's $300 a month, or it's $500 a month, whatever the money is. Don't you think you're worth that? And if it works, wouldn't you I'd pay twice that if it made me feel a certain way and kick that door in, like you were saying, and enhance my business, grow, scale, whatever the case may be a better person. It's worth its weight in gold. But I think people immediately pump the brakes when you throw a number at them, and they're like, oh, that's a lot of money. But you'll spend some money on some stupid shit like a TV or sneakers or a car, or just things that aren't going to help you with what you're complaining about.
Right. And it's identifying and prioritizing what's
Yes,
important to you. And that comes down to your core
exactly.
values.
Yep.
And there's no judgment if your core values aren't aligned with others. So that's
Yeah.
why comparing yourself to others is a slippery slope, and why you need to kind of, I always say, stay in my lane. I don't try to worry about what others are doing around me. I'm going to focus on me, and I do and do what's best for me.
It's so right,
Um,
Mike.
so um, you know, there's oftentimes the voices creep in the head. We get in that victim mindset, but we got to accept it, and we got to get out of that as fast as possible, because it's going to stunt our growth.
And if you're quick to make an excuse, try to recognize that. Like, you might have all the answers, but they're not the right answers. If somebody keeps coming at you because they're trying to help you, and you just keep rebuttal, but it's just an excuse, you got to get tired of it at some point. And
Yep.
especially if the people are telling you the same thing over and over, you're repping out being a victim, and that's all you're going to be. You'll never get better.
Well, we could take this podcast for example. Like, we had a vision, we were provided an opportunity to present ourselves, and
Hmm.
we are earning the trust of our listeners.
Yes.
We're earning it. People don't have to tune into us, but they choose to because they believe in what we're delivering. They believe in what we're talking about. They believe that what we are saying is legitimate. And
But
that's how change starts.
they
Yeah.
also know, as crazy as we were when we were younger and fun and all those adjectives, they also know what kind of people we are. And I think that's why it's grown as fast as it's grown, and we have the support and the messages we're getting, because they might have expected it to go a different way, but they're super excited and they can't believe the direction that it's going in. But they can at the same time, because they know truly deep down what kind of guys we are.
Yeah. I mean, I just bought an iPad yesterday at the AT&T store here in Delray Beach. And shout out to James. If you're listening, this iPad is sick, dude. Thank you for putting it together. And there's another kid, I can't think of his name. He was a 21-year-old kid. I forgot his name. I'm so sorry, dude. If you're listening, thank you for getting that set up for me. I love this thing, but I think when we interact with people, again, a great quote that I like, just as a face can be reflected in water, so the heart shows the real person. And it's something that really stuck with me, and I think that comes from Proverbs or Psalms. I can't remember. I think it's Proverbs. But when you meet people, their heart and their presence will either strike you or say, I don't really know. But we got to be able to identify that. And I want
Yeah.
to close out, Greg, with what's going on in the world. It's
Ah,
very easy for us to be a victim of our
I was just gonna say
circumstances
that. Yep.
with inflation, with political strife, with you
Shopping at
know
Target.
you know you see a lot of stuff that's going on that's non-traditional, that's not what we grew up knowing,
Hmm.
that's challenging our core values and our beliefs. And there's this next year and a half is going to be a very interesting time in our country.
Oh
I
yeah.
feel it can make or break us in regards to the direction of it, but we can't let that dictate our actions. It's okay to be prepared. It's
Yeah.
okay to have 26 or 27 backup plans,
Yep.
but we can't be a victim of society. And it doesn't matter, where your background is, where you come from. You got to keep pushing through. You got to be able to take that victimization, victimhood, whatever you were trying to convey earlier, and we got to get out of that, because if you don't, it's going to eat you up.
And you can turn on a TV right now and it'll just speed that process up on pretty much any channel.
100%. And
Yeah.
I do pray for our leaders. I want them to protect us and take care of us. I don't wish bad upon anybody. But we can't let the people that we may agree or not agree with keep us in that personal prison of like, oh, this is the way it's going to be. I'm never going to buy a home, or I'm never going to get married and have a kid.
One quick story.
Go ahead.
So I swim 3 days a week. I'm back in the pool. I'm pretty psyched.
It's awesome.
I suck, but I'll get there.
It's like me with wrestling, pal.
So I go at night when I put the girls to bed. So I usually have the pool to myself. There's one or two other people, but there's another lap pool next to me. And I go 3 days a week. Every night that I'm there, there's a young lady with no legs swimming.
It's awesome.
And I found myself 2 nights ago just watching her in between my sets. I'm just watching her. She's by herself. I mean, her caretaker's out on the deck,
What a
but I'm
blessing.
watching her and she puts her time in. And then I watch her have to be assisted out of the pool. Took 3 people to get her up onto the deck, dried off, and then up onto her chair. And it's one of those chairs where she can control it with her hands.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to stare. I wasn't staring in a bad way, but it really, did something inside me where I'm like, I have to say something to her. So one of the lifeguards and the caretaker walk by, and I'm in the pool looking up on the deck, and I see her in her wheelchair coming across, and she's singing like she's in the best mood. I'm like, Jesus
Awesome.
Christ, this is fucking amazing. And I just looked up, we caught eyes, and I go, yo, you keep swimming, girl. And she's like, thanks, she'll have a good night. So happy and so positive. I almost fucking cried. And I was like, and the whole process took over a half hour to get her out of the pool. And, and just think, it probably takes her hours just to do that one task. And I'm like, boy, and I have agents in my office that complain about spoons that we ordered or toilet
Agreed.
paper or not. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Look at how positive this person, that's a role model, and my hat's off to her. And more people should have, talk about, if she wanted to be a victim and have that mentality, there you go. And she has nothing but that from what I can see. And my hat's off to her. I will find out her name. And it was truly inspiring to me on so many different levels.
I think that's awesome, man.
It was,
That's a
it really touched my heart.
that's a great way to kind of wrap this up here, big guy. I think it's a great what a great story. It's
Yeah.
kind of like when we went to the New York City Marathon. We're at the
Yeah.
finish line. We got those great seats, and we bumped into Mayor Bloomberg, and he asked me
Yes.
if he wanted tater tots. I was like, he's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
So That was kind of cool. That was my brush with Mayor Bloomberg. He's awesome. I think he was the best mayor New York ever had and lived there. I mean, that city was
I was a
just
Giuliani fan, but
wicked.
the 1-2 combo was amazing.
Oh, I mean, Bloomberg
Mhm.
was just, man, he was awesome, man.
Oh
And
yeah,
those were great times, but that's a
yeah.
great way to end it. And this episode is going to air the week of Memorial Day weekend, and I think we should all take a moment or take the day. Remember what the day is for. It's when we were younger, it was Montauk, it was the Hamptons. We had a lot of
We'd
fun.
already be there
We'd
right
already
now.
be there by now.
Yeah.
Or I would have been there with Scotty, and then y'all would have came out like, later on. But
Yeah.
remember what this weekend's all about. It's for the brave men and women in uniform, cops, firemen, military that pay the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom so that we can have this platform. And to those people out there, thank you. We love you. We support you. And I tell you, I was watching Chicago PD earlier. It's my favorite show. And to see, the portrayal of what these cops go through, shout out to my boys and girls at Chicago PD. I love that show, man. That show is awesome. All those Chicago shows are awesome, but it just really made me take stock of like the sacrifices that our men and women in uniform make for us. So thank you all very much for what you do. God bless you all.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I'm going to read a quote that Sean Ryan, I'm a big fan of his. He wrote, ex Navy SEAL, CIA contractor, all that. He goes, as we approach Memorial Day weekend, a lot of Americans want to know the right way to honor the men and women who have died fighting for our country, for our well being, and for our freedoms. It all comes down to one thing. When you go to bed at night, ask yourself this question: was I an American that was worth dying for today? This is how we honor them. I'll leave it at that. That was well said.
That's a great way to end it, Greg. Not
Absolutely.
much more to say after that.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you so much.
EmpowerManPodcast.com, Instagram. We're on all the platforms: Spotify, iTunes, iHeart. Drop us a comment, like, all of that stuff. Help us push this algorithm so we can reach and help more people. That's why we're here. Thank you, everybody.
Click like and subscribe. And
That's it.
if you and your families are traveling, have a very safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. We'll be back with more great content next week. And I'm going to sign off from the home of our future president, Ron DeSantis.
Maybe.
Have a
You
great
never
night,
know.
everybody. Have a great weekend. God bless.
Have a good one.